Which of the following is not true? A. One blue-ringed octopus can kill up to 20 people. B. Detection dog trainers in Taiwan employ distraction chickens. Or C. The common ancestor of mammals looks like a monkey. Only one of those statements is not true. Keep listening to Formosa Fauna to find out which. Spend the next 20 minutes feeding your brain with Formosa Fauna so you can become smarter than all of your friends. Every Friday is Formosa Fauna Friday. Hello, I'm Tristan Hildebrand. On today's agenda, we're going to talk about the common ancestor of all living mammals. Distraction chickens in Taiwan, how Taiwan may phase out food waste as pig feed nationwide after some recent developments, how to survive a Formosan macaque encounter, which is not that unlikely in Taiwan, and the very deadly blue-ringed octopus. Let's dive right in. I sometimes feel like an encyclopedia of fun animal facts because I find this stuff so fascinating. But one of my favorites I like to fall back on is the one I'm about to share with you today. This is also part of the reason why I like squirrels so much. It will all make sense in just a few minutes, and your mind should be more or less blown by then. What do humans, mice, elephants, lions, tigers, bears, whales, and bats, not to mention many, many other animals, all have in common? Well, we are all mammals, and we all share a common ancestor. That is, before humans became humans and lions became lions, before there were these massive diversions in what mammals look like, there was one mammal which all of us can call great, however many greats, grandma. The article on Live Science Plus by Charles Q. Choi is even titled as Meet Your Mama, First Ancestor of All Placental Mammals Revealed. This was way back in 2013 too. Artists have been able to render what this ancestor looked like based on the findings of a research team which reconstructed the anatomy of the animal by mapping traits onto the evolutionary tree most strongly supported by a combined phenomic, which is physical traits you can see, and genomic data. Then they compared these features in placental mammals with those seen in their closest relatives. I will be setting this artist's rendition as the cover photo of this episode, so if you're tuning in from shortwave, you can head to the RTI website to see it, and if you're listening on one of our many podcast platforms or website already, now would be a great time to pull out that picture. What you'll see is a tiny, furry creature about the size of a medium-sized rat, with a long, furry tail and an elongated snout. To those listeners who don't like rats and feel uncomfortable hearing that your ancestor was rat-like, I will say, to me, they look more like squirrels with a long snout and skinny tail. Hopefully, that makes you feel better. The four-legged creatures likely ate insects, weighed from 6 to 245 grams, which is less than half of a pound, and they were more adapted for general scampering than they were built for more specialized forms of movements, like swinging from trees. And because we keep using the term placental mammal, a placental mammal has a placenta, a vascular organ that facilitates nutrient and waste exchange between the mother and fetus. So there is a distinction here. It's not maybe all mammals, but placental mammals, definitely. Researcher Maureen O'Leary from Stony Brook University explained the process of discovering the tree of life as being like piecing together a crime scene. It's a story that happened in the past that you can't repeat. She went on to say that just like with a crime scene, the new tools of DNA add important information, but so do other physical clues like a body, or in science, fossils and anatomy. By combining all the evidence, they're able to produce the most informed and possibly accurate reconstruction of a past event. The research team also went beyond DNA data and looked at all aspects of mammalian anatomy, from the skull and skeleton to the teeth to internal organs, muscles, and even fur patterns. By doing this, they found that placental mammals appeared after the end of the age of the dinosaurs, with the original ancestor developing about 200,000 to 400,000 years after the event, around 36 million years later than the prediction would have been if they only based that prediction on genetic data. So by looking at the skeleton, the bone structure, the teeth, the fur patterns, they were able to hone in on sort of the exact time frame in which this could have happened, which is, like I said, 36 million years later than the prediction would have been just based on genetic data. And that is according to Brazil's National Museum researcher Marcelo Wexler. Another fun fact here, dinosaurs roamed the earth for around 165 million years. 165 million years, very difficult to comprehend. Whereas Homo sapiens, humans, have only existed for about 200,000 years. I'll save you the difficult math on that one, piecing all of these dates together, and tell you that the time between dinosaurs going extinct and people appearing on Earth is around 65 million years. Of course, by appearing, I don't mean just dropped out of thin air, but when Homo sapiens became Homo sapiens, it was about 65 million years after dinosaurs went extinct. If our common ancestor looked like a long-snouted, skinny-tailed squirrel, then why did we all branch out into different species? That's a conversation for another day. What do you think? Has your mind been blown? In Taiwan, 干扰鸡, literally distraction chickens, are commonly used in training programs for detection dogs, particularly those working in law enforcement, customs, and airport security. These chickens serve as a safe and controlled method of introducing distractions into a dog's training environment. The goal is to simulate real-world situations in which a dog during detection might encounter unexpected stimuli, such as animals, noise, or movement that could potentially divert its attention away from its target scent. By incorporating these distractions, trainers can assess and strengthen the dog's focus, self-control, and ability to maintain task performance while under pressure. During training exercises, the chickens are typically placed in a controlled area where the dog can see or hear them but cannot harm them. Trainers use this setup to teach dogs to ignore non-target scents and stimuli while still performing their detection tasks accurately. Otherwise, can you imagine if a dog was trained in a sterile environment with no distractions, how they would navigate focusing in an airport with everybody moving their luggage around, walking around, yelling, doing all these different kinds of smells? It would be way too much for them. For example, a dog trained to detect narcotics or explosives may be presented with a hidden scent in proximity to the chickens. The dog must signal the correct scent without being distracted by the chicken's movements or sounds. Over time, this kind of controlled exposure helps the dog generalize its focus to diverse environments outside of the training facility. The use of 干扰鸡 is part of a broader humane approach to training detection dogs in Taiwan. The chickens are treated carefully, monitored for stress, not sure how they do that, and never physically harmed. Trainers often combine this method with other distraction tools such as toys, noises, or human activity to create increasingly realistic training scenarios. By gradually increasing the complexity and unpredictability of distractions, detection dogs become better equipped to perform reliably in airports, ports and public areas where maintaining attention under diverse and potentially chaotic conditions is essential. Formosan macaques are fairly common in Taiwan, especially in mountainous regions such as Yangmingshan, Shoushan, and parts of Taroko and Alishan, where hikers often spot them along trails or resting in trees. In fact, one university has a special place in my mind because they have mountains. The dorms are in the mountains. The university is right along the coastline, so they have the ocean right there. And in the mountains, by the dorms, you have plenty of Formosan macaques just out and about. Like a Disney movie to me. But students may have a different opinion of them. So many people do enjoy quietly observing the primates in their natural habitat, as they are an iconic native species and an important part of Taiwan's ecosystem. When viewed from a respectful distance, macaque troops can be fascinating to watch, offering a glimpse into their complex social behaviors. Because of their cultural and ecological importance, Formosan macaques are protected under Taiwan's Wildlife Conservation Act, which prohibits harming, capturing, or feeding them. So no, you cannot feed them. This legal protection not only helps preserve the species, but also encourages responsible ecotourism and respectful coexistence. If you encounter an aggressive or intimidating Formosan macaque in Taiwan, the most important thing you can do is to stay calm and avoid escalating the situation. How do you do that though? Well, do not scream, run, or make sudden movements, as this can trigger a chase response. Just like a dog, you wouldn't want to run away from a curious dog. Instead, keep your body turned slightly sideways to appear less threatening. Avoid direct eye contact, which macaques can interpret as a challenge, and speak in a low, steady voice if needed. If you're holding food, and they seem to be interested in the food, they do suggest just dropping it instead of going into a tug of war with the Formosa macaques, as macaques often act aggressively when they believe a person is withholding food. If a macaque approaches too closely, slowly back away while keeping your hands visible and low. Avoid any gestures that could be mistaken for offering food. Do not try to touch, feed, or photograph them at a close range. Macaques also may lunge to intimidate, so maintaining distance may be key. If one tries to grab your bag or belongings, they suggest to let it go rather than risking injury. Many macaques in tourist areas are used to getting food from people, so removing the reward by securing all food items and making sure people don't go to feed them can help prevent further encounters. If a macaque actually attacks or scratches you, protect your face and neck. Then move to a safe area as quickly and as calmly as possible. Once safe, clean any wounds thoroughly with soap and water and seek medical attention right away. Macaque bites can carry bacteria, and in rare cases, they may transmit diseases. Local authorities or park staff can also help report the incident and advise on safety in macaque active areas. The Ministry of Agriculture announced on Monday that Taiwan is moving to phase out the use of food waste as pig feed, potentially making the ban permanent within just a year. Under the proposed plan, pig farmers already using approved surveillance systems may continue for a limited transition period, but all use of household food waste as feed would be prohibited immediately. To help farmers shift to commercial feed, the ministry plans to provide subsidies of about 3,600 NT dollars per pig, around $100 for farms transitioning in 2025, and then about 1,800 NT dollars or around $50 for each pig for those doing so in 2026, per Taiwan News' report. As a part of the transition, all farms currently using food waste must install surveillance equipment, and waste carriers are required to equip their trucks with GPS, with installation costs covered by the ministry. Additionally, the Ministry of Environment will cease issuing new permits for the use of food waste as pig feed. The ministry says most local governments support the phase-out, but each may shorten the transition period at their discretion. Before the policy is submitted formally to the cabinet, officials will coordinate with both governmental units and industry stakeholders. The decision has sparked criticism from some in the agricultural sector. National Taiwan University professor Su Zhongzheng argued that it makes little sense to require investment in new equipment for farms that will cease using food waste feed within a year. He also cautioned that food waste to compost conversion demands considerable time and land, and improperly stored scraps might still pose disease risks if accessed by small animals. Meanwhile, Boxed Meal Trade Union Secretary General Zhen Chuanming warned that the policy's sunset clause could render recent investments in heat treatment equipment useless, reduce national processing capacity, raise disposal fees, push up the cost of boxed meals, and threaten their quality. I personally think that sooner or later Taiwan will transition to no food waste for pig feed, as although Taiwan has done an amazing job at staying African swine fever free for many years, it is so difficult to sustain. An outbreak of this disease isn't just some sick pigs, it's essentially a death sentence for every single pig infected. Considering around 9% of the pork products seized upon entry into Taiwan contain the disease, it's impressive Taiwan has made it this far with their ASF-free status. On the other hand, countries that don't rely on food waste as feed have a much easier time staying safe from ASF. Whenever there are any sort of changes in an industry, there is bound to be some sort of pushback, like those worried that the heat treatment equipment will be rendered useless and worry about their investments in those industries. But overall, that certainly doesn't sound like a good reason to keep approaching the situation in an unsafe or unmanageable way. Southern Taiwan Science Park is moving ahead with special measures to protect the eastern grass owl at its Shalun site in Tainan, following concerns raised earlier this fall. Local officials said that the Tainan city government will bring in a third-party team to establish a conservation platform, working with environmental groups and nearby residents. The effort comes after the National Development Council approved plans for the Shalun Health Park in September, prompting renewed attention to the bird's vulnerable habitat. The Shalun Development Area in Guidan District overlaps with known habitat and breeding grounds for several endangered species, including the eastern grass owl. According to the council, the new platform is meant to help strike a balance between ecological protection and ongoing industrial development. A dedicated conservation zone for the species will be set aside, while the platform will also build an information database to support more detailed research on the owl's movements and habitat needs. Officials say the platform's findings will guide long-term strategies to ensure the species can survive alongside continued development. The blue-ringed octopus. While their primary habitat includes coral reefs and rocky tide pools around the Philippines and Australian Great Barrier Reef, waters in Taiwan around Taiwan also have the same blue-ringed creatures. With a body hardly larger than a golf ball and tentacles hardly as long as human fingers, these marine animals could easily sit on a human hand, but should never, as they are one of the world's deadliest animals. One single golf ball-sized blue-ringed octopus has enough venom to kill more than 20 people. And how you tell they're about to bite is by looking at those rings. See, there are 4 different species of blue-ringed octopuses, all which share similar habits. They're able to change the shape, size, and density of pigment-containing cells or cell groups, allowing them to change color and camouflage themselves against various backgrounds. But when triggered or threatened, a blue-ringed octopus will have 50 or more otherwise dull skin rings light up to bright blue in a second, like turning on a light switch. The blue-ringed octopus is of least concern to the International Union for Conservation of Nature, which is great news for the species, but somewhat alarming news for the 20 people each one of them is capable of ending. Just remember, the next time you see an animal with bright circles, don't touch. Thank you for tuning in. See you next time for Formosa Fauna Fridays here on Radio Taiwan International.